All right, so today we are gonna go through on how to fill out a listing agreement from A to Z. So this is, pretty much got the listing and now you just got to do the paperwork for it. So hopefully you've seen the last video where you can create a template, and you created a template for this because that's how we're gonna start. We're just gonna create a transaction. So you're gonna create a transaction. You're going to name it, you're going to put generally the client's name. We're going to do an address with the Ash Park, which I already have on Geo Warehouse. So, you would go on to Matrix, from Matrix, click on Geo Warehouse, and then you would put in the address up here, and you'll get the information on the property, a way of confirming on who owns the property with the people you've met, the license, driver license, or IDs you've checked. Everything should match accordingly. Okay, so we have Gilles and Dominique. So I will name it Gilles and Dominique, for example. You can name it whatever you want, but it's generally good because if you ever want to look back, you can just go back to your files and just put their name and it'll pop up. So templates. So I've created here a listing to sell. You can see again, I have multiple different ones. Okay, and you are the listing salesperson. So we're going to create this. All right, so over here you see you can actually add the information in this part of web forms, and technically, if working properly, it should transcribe into the actual the listing agreement. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's for me. I don't like using it. I just go straight to the form because there's nothing more upsetting than putting in all the info over here and then going to your forms and not finding it and then having to redo those forms. Okay, so we're going to go to forms. And these are the forms that I have for the listing agreement. So we're going to open the form 200. Okay, so it's between the brokerage and the sellers. So you're going to put their names. I'm going to go over here, grab their name. So I just do a lot of copy and paste. It's last name, first name, and I just switch it to first name, last name. Why? I just like it that way. You don't have to. That's just me personally. Okay, then the address that you are selling. So 50 Ashmark. I also like capital letters. If you don't have to do it. This is just me again. Let's just like it that way. Ottawa. And then the postal code. Okay. So this is when we are starting the commencement of our listing agreement. So if it's on MLS, when are you planning on putting an MLS? Whatever date is there, you have 48 hours from that date to put it up. Anything after that becomes this agreement no good. You'd have to scratch out the date, put in new dates, and get them to initial. So make sure it is very important that you stay within that date. So if you believe it's going to be, August 1st, put August 1st and make sure you're there. If you think it's not going to be August 1st when we're there, scratch it out and resend it for initials to change the date. Okay, so we're gonna say the 11th. And the end date is, generally 3 months is what everyone does. So I go 1, 2, 3, and I'll go to the end, so a little bit more than 3 months. If it's an exclusive, it's different. You can start it again. Make sure whenever you start it is when you're going to start doing the work, or you might get an offer, and then the expiry could be 1 week, 2 week, 6 months, whatever you want. Now, if it is longer than usual, so you'd have to get them to initial right over here. So the longer than usual, which is longer than 6 months. So right here, as you can see, 6 months. Listing price, whatever price you have agreed on. Okay. Over here, the initial, this is the seller he buyer represents and warrants the seller is not a party to any other listing agreement for property or agreement to pay commission to any other real estate brokerage. So basically this is them initialing, they're not currently not working with anyone. They're only going to be working with you. Okay, so commission, this is the total commission that was agreed upon with the sellers. So we'll say 5% and or dollar value. So you can put a dollar value instead of a percentage, whatever agreement you have with the seller. And then over here is the cooperating. So what are you going to give out of that percentage that you're taking or the money that you're taking? So we'll say 2.5. If you're going to take 20,000, you might put 10,000. That's really whatever you have agreed on. Okay, holdover period. So how many days after the agreement has expired are you going to be holding on to this property? The holdover period is basically if you've shown the property to someone or someone saw the property while you have the agreement expires, and let's say after 10 days they come back and buy the property, then the seller would still owe you the commission. But if the seller goes and signs with a different brokerage, then this agreement is null and void and useless. So that buyer that saw it will have to go buy it with the new seller, the new listing agent, and you would get nothing. The general holdover period is 30 days, but again, it's useless if they sign with someone else within 10 days or 5 days. So the rest is hopefully you've read through it. If you have any questions about the actual agreement, feel free to reach out to me or Leah, and then we can explain any part of it. So over here is the consent for other realtor to reach out to the seller once this is expired or canceled. So most of the time you're going to put does not, because if you put does, I don't think the sellers will appreciate getting phone calls by 2,000 people. It basically gives access to other agents to give them a call and say, hey, you want to sell? Hey, do you want to sell? And that can be quite annoying. I'm pretty sure your sellers would like to just contact someone else if they didn't work out with you, and just put does not. You can ask them. Most likely they're going to say put does not initial. Over here, you're going to put any extra schedules that you're going to be adding on top of the data form. Okay, so if you're doing if you're adding a schedule, you would put it in there, for example. Okay, this is where you would sign date and the name of your name. And over here, the seller will sign and date. You can add their phone number. Now over here, if it's a matrimonial home and only one of them is on the title, then the spouse cannot sign here. We'll sign down here consenting. This is only for matrimonial home if the spouse is not on title. Okay, over here, it's again yourself, and then you would sign down here, and then your clients again would sign here, date, sign, date. Now everything's DocuSign. You don't have to add dates here, but you can if you want to. Okay, so that is the first form. So now to go to the second form, we're going to go to File, Open, and we go to the Schedule A, which is the data form, Form 960. So some of the information would have transferred over, such as the brokerage, the buyers, the address, the date of the listing. Now you have to include the legal description, which you will get from Geo Warehouse, which is over here. And copy and paste this. You need the PIN number, again, Geo Warehouse, scroll down. And over here, add, and now we need the roll number. Scroll a little bit down, oops, down. Here, property tax, you'll ask your clients, they can provide a tax bill. If neither of them have it, you can go into the city estimator and get an estimate of what the property tax is, but make sure you put that in the realtor remarks that it's an estimate. And to do that, I will show another video on how to do it. So over here, we're going to say 4,200 for the year 2022. Listing terms and conditions. Is there any conditions going? Existing financing, most of them it's being treated as clear because people who are buying it will get their own mortgage. If they were going to assume the mortgage, you might want to put the information over here because you'll need it. Possession, when do they want? If they're not sure, generally to be TBD, to be determined. If they know the month of September between the 14th and the 15th, whatever it is, put it in there. Chattels included, so what's included? So we have the stuff that's usually is dishwasher, washer, stove, hood fan, garage door opener, really anything that you can think of that might be included. Blinds, if there was a pool equipment, you know, whatever extra. If there was a wall oven, you would put the wall oven. So whatever it is that's included, you can put it there. Fixtures included. What do they want to keep that's attached to the house? So sometimes it could be a light fixture. It could be shelving. It could be, I don't know, realistically, a painting that's indented into the wall. I don't, whatever it is that they want to keep, make sure you put it there. Okay, rental equipment. Most of the time it's the hot water tank. Is it leasable? Yes. Assignable, sorry, it's yes. You can add the amount, the term, you know, buyout. If the clients have that, you can generally call and get that information. If there's something else, like recently you've been seeing sometimes furnace and AC, so you would add those in there and fill in the rest of the information. But I would say 95% of the time it's a hot water tank. If it was a condo, you would put in the condo fees, the frequency, and what these condo fees include. So you would ask your clients, you know, what's included in the condo fees, or you can take a look at their status certificate and it would be in there. If there's a locker involved with the condo, put the locker number, is it an exclusive use or owned? That really matters. The PIN number. So over here, when you're doing a condo, you might have multiple different PIN number that would show up, and each one is accorded to either the parking spots or this locker if they are owned. If they are not owned, they won't show up. Okay, so parking space, the number, the PIN number, is it an exclusive use or owned? So this is only applicable for condos, not applicable for freehold. And then down here is the lockbox disclosure. So again, you have their names, brokerage, the address, and you know, I, the seller, hereby authorize Coldwell Banker to install a lockbox. Where? On the front door, other, put where you're going to put it, or we waive the placement of a lockbox on a property. So no lockbox, you would click on this. So whichever one applies, click on it, sign, and they date. So that's it for the data form. Now, if you have directions from the seller, there is also form 244 that you have to fill out. So form 244 is if you're holding offers or no conveyance or whatever the seller is directing you to do, and you need to tell other people, it's generally put into this form. So there's no MLS number generally, because unless you've already created the MLS and now you're adding this, you put the number, otherwise it's blank. You got the address, their names, brokerage, you know, the listing commencement date. So you can see here, there's already one that says no conveyance. You would just plug in the numbers, the initial there. Sometimes here you can say, you know, no offers until a certain date, but the seller reserves the right to review preemptives. That's another direction. I want any offers 24-hour revocable. It's another direction. So it can really, you would just put in here. So you can do up to 2 manually. If you want, if there was more, you'd have to just add another form to it. And then they sign, date, then you sign, and then you date. Okay. And last but not least, there should be the FinTrack that should be done. There's already how to fill these up videos. If you guys have any questions, reach out to me and then I can help out. So once all this is done, you need to send it to the client via DocuSign. You could print it and meet with them if you wish, but I'm going to show you how to send it via DocuSign. So generally speaking, your DocuSign account is already linked to web forms. And now we're just gonna go back here. So you go File, Open Forms. You're gonna click on the 3 that you want, or whichever forms you want to send. So we're gonna send listing agreement, Schedule A, and seller direction. You click on the basket. From the basket, click on the pen. And we wait. No, it's been blocked. There we go. And we wait, and we wait, and we wait. All right, perfect. So over here, you're gonna go to add recipient. You're gonna put the name, email address. If there's 2 buyers, 2 sellers, you're gonna put both names, email address, and then you put yourself. So, you know, you're gonna have 3 for 3, 2 for 2, whichever the case may be. Then you click done. So you need initials in all the boxes or accordingly. So if the seller, we'll go with the seller, click on initial, you put on here, go in here. Remember, this is only if it's longer than 6 months. If it's an exclusive, then your initial would go here. Okay, so you need an initial there, initial here. Whoops, initial here. Initial here, sign, date, sign, oops, sign, date, initial. Think of the gas that you're saving right now. Money already in your pocket. Signature, date, and let's say we did no conveyance, initial, sign, and date, and then you would pick the next person and do it right beside and go over all of this, and then you would pick yourself and then put you are signing on behalf of the brokerage. So basically you've got one here, sign, date, you're gonna sign here. You're gonna initial, and then sign and date and send. Send it off to the client, they review it, they've got questions, they call you, you answer them, everyone's happy, they sign, you sign, and you are good to go. You've got a listing agreement. If you guys have any further questions, feel free to reach out. Peace out.